In the city of Coachella, community organizer Leslie Figueroa is challenging three-term mayor Stephen Hernandez for the top leadership job. I spoke with both candidates today, who you'll see have very strong opinions about what the city needs. Stephen and Leslie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
First off, briefly tell us a little bit about yourselves and why you're running for mayor. Stephen, since you're the incumbent, we'll start with you.
Thank you so much, Peter, for this opportunity. My name is Stephen Hernandez, and I've been mayor for the last 6 years here in the beautiful city of Coachella. Born and raised in the city of Coachella, raised by my grandparents who were migrant farm workers. Went to school through the K through 12 system here, graduated from Coachella Valley High School. Went off to the University of California, Riverside, where I got degrees in English and political science. And I came back and ran for office at a very young age, 23 years old. I went off also and got my master's from the University of Southern California in public administration. And I'm married to my wife, Adriana, and I actually have 2 kids, one who's calling me right now.
All right, Leslie.
My name is Leslie Figueroa. I grew up in Coachella. I'm a community organizer. I'm a policy advocate. I have an urban planning background, and I love Coachella so much of working with residents here. And really, why I'm running for mayor is because, as we all know, at the start of the pandemic, I think was a very frustrating time for many residents and people and business owners and organizers like myself. Had so many residents calling me from Indio, from Coachella, from North Shore, from Thermal, and you and me personally would hear this frustration from residents on not knowing what was going on with the pandemic, resources being given out in Spanish, unemployment issues, evictions, you name it, right? And really felt there was this lack of leadership in our own community. And for me, I think this is something that I never thought I would be doing, especially during a pandemic. But I think it's necessary.
In your opinion, what is the top issue affecting the city of Coachella? And if elected, how do you plan to address that issue? Stephen.
What we do in order to recover from COVID is extremely important. We know that in the city of Coachella, we have essential workers. Our workers are working in the agriculture industry, they're working in healthcare industry, they're working in the retail industry. And these are folks that have not had the comfort of working from home. And as a result, we've seen a high positivity rate of our residents in the city of Coachella. So for us, it's going to be very important that we continue to do what we've been doing. We have provided as a city resources for financial assistance for rental and mortgage assistance. We've provided assistance for mental health assistance. We've provided dollars for our youth. Just today, we actually allocated another $50,000 to help our child care facilities. And it's going to be very important that government have the know-how, that the elected officials have the know-how to continue to keep that ball rolling and to continue to make sure that we have a very strong recovery within the city of Coachella. That it's time for Coachella to bring its own police department. I think it's time for us to continue to build and bring back what we had years ago, so that we can have a force that is reflective of the culture and the values. And we look forward to doing that. My opponent is someone who believes in defunding some of the police. He's been on record of saying that that the investment in our public safety is something that we should look at. And so for me, it's about maintaining and enhancing.
Leslie.
Awesome. Well, thank you. COVID-19 is a real, obviously, big issue that's impacted all of our community members. I know something that I definitely think, talking to many residents, is a big issue is how we communicate with folks. I think communications as it relates to accessible language, how people are receiving their information funneled to them is lacking, right? Especially as it comes to it being in Spanish and in information that is digestible to residents. I know from the many residents I've spoken to now and have continued to speak to, folks still do not have the adequate resources or information available to them. as it comes through, right? Whether it be through federal funding or funding coming through the city. If we're not able to communicate that to residents, then often, then what was the point? When we're talking about defunding the police, right? We're aren't speaking about getting rid of all services, right? I think what we're talking about is looking at our current sheriff's contract that is about almost $10 million, right? And I think we would, most folks agree, right? That is a lot of spending taking most of our city budget, right? That we don't know exactly what the analysis of the services and how they're assessed and how people, have seen those services, given to them, if they're adequate enough, right? So for me, a lot of what we need to be doing is analyzing and assessing those services that are being provided, reducing some that might be over expended, and then also looking at how we're looking and perceiving safety differently in our communities that may reduce the cost of current policing.
Do you know how many police we have in the city, Leslie?
Police? I know that there's about,
At any given moment?
at any given moment, I know there's about 17, 18 deputies.
We have 3 police officers at any given moment within the city of Coachella. And to reduce those 3 officers, to reduce the amount of police we have in the city of Coachella, to me is something that's unacceptable. We've done a great job in the city of Coachella to bring down our crime rate. We've done a great job in the city of Coachella to bring down the murders in the city. Very proud of the fact that we had 0 murders for the last few years up until this year. We're still looking into that. But to have a conversation about taking 3 police officers at any one given moment and making it 1 or 2, or I think that's a step in the wrong direction. And for us, we ought to be adding a few more officers that we can enforce the law in a manner that our residents frankly deserve.
And have you spoken to residents? Have you gone around speaking to residents
Absolutely.
exactly about how they feel about safety? Because I know I've been talking to many residents and, they don't feel that the services that you've provided or that have been put in the city are adequate enough for them and how they feel safe in their own community, right? I think when we're talking about residents and when we're looking at, like I said, community-oriented policies and approaches to our community, we have to be talking to them and not just coming up with solutions and thinking that this is what they need.